It's Saturday morning, live from across the Bostik Leagues. This is Back of the Net, where your weekend football begins.
So welcome to the show this Saturday. It's going to be a good one. We're live today down in Lancing for the game between Horsham and Herne Bay. And we've got plenty of guests on the show. Dominic Di Palio is joining us, the Horsham manager. We've also got Adam Westwood, the assistant manager. We're here from various managers today. It's all about the FA Cup, isn't it? Magical day, second round qualifying. John Embry will be speaking to us, the Herne Bay manager, ahead of the game here. We'll also speak to Jim Cooper. Met Police have their game. They've got a tough one as well. They're against Hayward Swifts. This could be a cup upset there. Alan Dowson, the Hampton and Richmond manager, speaks to us, as does Steve Ringrose, the Potters Bar town manager. He actually fancies his chances being underdogs there this afternoon. We also speak to Jamie Howe, the Eastbourne Borough manager, and Peter Adinyai, the Carshalton athletic manager. Plenty on the show for you to get your teeth into between now and 1 o'clock.
Non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the Net, where it matters.
So very good morning to you. Welcome to the show today. Mick, good morning.
Good morning, Ben, and listeners.
Yeah, it's lovely to be here. Do you know what? I was doing the intro then, and I forgot what the name of this stadium was called. I didn't want to get it wrong. Has anybody got it? What's the name? The what? Sorry.
Culver Road.
Culver Road. Okay, there we go. So that's where we are. There was a moment in the intro I thought I'm going to say where we are, and I wasn't sure because usually you just say we're in Horsham, but we're not in Horsham.
not quite.
I think we'll open as we've started with this. Dom, very good morning to you first.
Morning.
With the reasons that you're playing down here for the moment.
Yep, so our ground share with Horsham YMCA, which we've had for a number of years, expired at the end of last season. So we needed somewhere to go for this season. We've had approval for our new ground, but it's just a matter of how long it's going to take for the new stadium to be built. So Sussex FA, Lancing Football Club, kindly let us play down here, and it's been pretty good so far.
And we should mention that I said in the intro, we'll be joined by Adam Westwood, your assistant manager, at some point this morning as well. I know Mick's got a lot of questions for you. You've actually got a point in the show at the end of the hour where Mick has got a new feature that we've given him, which is 60 seconds to ask you, is it 6 questions?
6 questions, yeah.
Six questions. 6
They're
questions.
not hard, Dom, don't worry. Hopefully
good.
It's a bit fun.
Hopefully it's not maths.
And so much to talk about. It's our first visit here this season, of course, but so far, you're happy with performances and what you've done this season?
It's been really mixed, to be fair. We've had a bit of a strange start. We've been decimated by injuries, but kind of does happen. Hopefully later on in the season we'll get a bit of luck in that respect. We've had some good performances. We played some good football. I think we played better football this year than we had for most of last year. But yeah, the results have been a bit up and down. And
what I don't want to steal one of Mick's questions because this might be one at the end of the hour, but what are your expectations and your targets this season?
To try and do better than last year. We finished sort of just below mid-table last year, and if we can do better than that going into hopefully the new stadium next year, that's kind of the target for me personally. I'd like to see us just have a sort of a more consistent, better season this year than last, really, and try and improve upon what we did.
And how does the FA Cup rank in that? What's the priority with the FA Cup?
The aim would be to be in there for as long as we possibly can. It's a great competition, and to be fair, this is as far as I've personally got. But Horsham as a club have got quite a good history in the competition, and it would be nice to try and do something if we can.
Adam Westwood, the assistant manager here at Horsham, has just joined us. Very good morning to Adam.
Good, sorry I'm late.
Yeah, it's nice to have you here. And we were just saying about targets this season, and one of the questions that I just put to Dom was, how have you done so far? What are your thoughts on the season so far?
Yeah, I mean, we could be in a lot better position. We thought we was going to be in a lot better position than we are. However, injuries, mistakes, they all add up, and we can only do what we can do. If we was 2 points, 3 points better off than we was at the present time, we'd be happy, and that's the small margins. You make 1 or 2 mistakes in a game, they cost you. It's the difference between 1 point and 3 points, or even 0 points and 1 point.
And the FA Cup thing, let's go back to that. It's a strange one. When you've got non-league teams, there's so much financial gain if you reach the first round proper, as Mick knows from Merstham last season. Is there a pressure there to do something for the club off the field?
Yeah, most definitely. You know, the club backs us 100%. We want to give back as much as we possibly can, and the FA Cup's pretty much the only way where we can get some really good funds back into the club. So, you know, every FA Cup game. I mean, we was a very good cup team, but the last couple of years we've let ourselves down and we've let the club down by not returning anything financial back in. So, you know, that was our big aim this year at the start of the season. Me and Dom spoke and you know, we tried to get like 2 or 3 games won to get some financial gain back in.
I think as a club as well at the moment, being homeless and everything going out of the club really with very few revenues coming in, it's even more of a factor at the moment. You know, we do get certain revenues from the games here, but you know, it's not your own ground, and there's a lot of hiring costs and things like that, and training costs and all of the other things that come with running a football club. So anything we could do to bring some dough in would be gratefully appreciated, I think.
Do you have to change your approach to the game much? I spoke to a few managers this week, and they always say, no, it's you know, it's a game of football. We always want to win. We always look at ourselves. But for an FA Cup game, is there a different feel to it in the dressing room before? Different feel tactically to it because it's a one-off game.
I think the players get a bit of a buzz, a different sort of buzz about it, and obviously Mick will be able to tell you. You know, you start going through a few of the rounds and it, you know, it starts getting quite exciting. There's a bit of a buzz around the club. I mean, we've not approached it any differently, really, have we?
No, I don't think we've had a chance with the injuries we got. To be fair.
So, but no, we've just, you know, trying to treat it as a normal game. We've got a team from our league, so it's not like we're going to, you know, a club from higher up that we perhaps don't know as much about, or you know, we've not played before. So it's a slightly different one today. You know, if we'd have gone to somewhere like, you know, Dulwich, Billericay, somewhere like that, you know, be a slightly different approach maybe.
But you're used to a little bit of limelight. As East Preston manager a few years ago, you'd done really well in the FA Vars, so you know, you've had a lot of coverage from there, and obviously, you know, this should be that easy peasy today, considering what you've been through, like further in the FA Vars.
Yeah, I mean the Vars thing was great, and the buzz and the excitement that came out of that was pretty special at the time. You know, we got through 6-7 rounds, I think it was, but yeah, I mean it's a game you want to get through, don't you? And you know, I think Herne Bay will be in exactly the same boat, thinking, well, it's a game against a team from our league. It's a good opportunity for us to get through to the next round, and who knows who you get in the next round. Could be someone quite exciting.
Well, this is going to be an interesting game today because John Emery, I've been listening to what he's talking himself up big time. They're going to come here and they're going to win. I must admit, their results suggest that they're going to come here and turn you over.
Yeah,
I suspect, like, you know, the team talk in there will get the boys hyped up, and we're going to see a sort of decent game out here today.
I hope so. I've heard they play football. We've had some info on them, and yeah, they're in really banging form in the league. You know, I think they've won 4 or 5 on the spin after a bit of a slow start. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be hopefully it'll be a good game. We'll be really up for it. We'll be going.
What's your style of football? Just, you know, I know that you loved. In fact, I know you loved the style that Hayden played at, and we did at Merstham. I mean, is that a similar type of thing, or are you going to go into an overpassing mode and go nowhere?
Well, we've had to mix it up a bit the last couple of years. I mean, historically I think we were quite renowned for playing football, as you know, Mick. But you know, we have had to mix it up. We've had a big turnaround in players in the last couple of years, and we've had, you know, it's been quite tough coming into this league in Sussex, you know, and getting a settled side out. So we've had to at times go back to basics, but we'll always try and play.
Mick is, of course, our statistician. With those statistics coming out, their form means they're going to come here and turn you over. That's a Mick's obviously done his research.
Yeah, they're up for it, I'll tell you. And if Horsham are not up for it, they're going to get turned over down here today. So,
you've been warned. You've been warned today. Yeah. You obviously had a great win in the last round of the cup as well. It was 6-0 win, pretty emphatic against Ashford United. So that must be something to build on in the cup.
Yeah, definitely. We played really well that day. I think it was probably our best performance of the season, to be fair. I mean, I know Ashford at the time was having a few problems as well, and I think kind of that helped us to perform the way we did and get the victory we did. They pulled out some good results since then, to be fair to Ashford. So, you know, we can obviously tell the guys that it wasn't a bad team or it wasn't a weak team we played. You know, we still got the result, and even we've played weak teams before and come out and lost 1-0. You know, so that day was perfect for us. Excuse me. We do want to push on from that today. I mean, Herne Bay are going to be a strong side. There's no two ways about it. They're a strong side. Every time we've come across them, they're a strong side. I mean, we went down there last year and we came back with a 1-0, which they would probably be a bit gutted about because they had a lot of the possession. And then they come to us last year and beat us 2-0. But we want to change that. We want to turn it around and today, especially in the FA Cup for the club more than anything, and push on.
And going back to your temporary home this season, how have you found that coming down here? What's that been like to get used to new surroundings and a new pitch?
Yeah, Lancing's local to us. We're kind of Worthing boys ourselves, so we know this place very, very well. And most of our guys, a lot of the guys in our team used to play for Lancing years ago before we took them to East Preston. So we know it very well. I mean, the ground and everything's great. The surface is superb, and we all know the troubles Worthing having with theirs. There's nothing like that here. It's perfect. So there's no excuses really when we got to play. Because when we play football, you cannot not play football on a pitch like that. It's you've got to try and move it about and get into the open areas and get it in and score. So Lancing's quite armed from most of our guys. I think it's closer to most of our guys than it is at Horsham. So at the moment,
we've been training here. We trained here last year because there's not a huge amount of facilities in Horsham, which is another reason for getting a ground in there with facilities for the community. So it's very hard to get training facilities up that way. So we've been training last year. We trained down at Lancing. So we're quite familiar with the surroundings down here.
Would you say that you're happy how Horsham YMCA have treated you in a way, taking you away from your sort of local community and you're having to come all the way down here? I appreciate it's nice and local for you, but for the supporters, I wonder what's going on behind the scenes and how they feel Horsham YMCA have treated Horsham in not giving them an opportunity for another 2 years.
Yeah, I think in fairness to YM, they want to kick on as a club. They had, with us being there, they couldn't have a reserves or a 21s or anything like that on a Saturday. So in some ways it's left them in a similar boat to us in the fact that they have to farm players out on loan to get players fit. They can't develop young players. So, from that side of it, it's tricky. I feel for our supporters because they're now having to travel half an hour to games. Whether that affects the gates come winter is a concern for the club, but beggars can't be choosers, which I've said plenty of times over the last sort of 2 or 3 months. Until we get our own ground, we have to just suck it up and get on with it, really.
And how long away is that, getting your own ground?
Well, we're hoping for sort of first few months of next season, providing everything goes to plan. So we've had approvals, and you'd probably be best speaking to the club for the technical aspects of it. But I'm hoping first 2 or 3 months of the new season. So similar to Dorking, I think they were hoping to be in at the start of the season, and obviously with everything that goes along with building a new anything, there's always going to be a few delays. So one would hope we'll be in before Christmas next season.
Does it affect the rest of the club? You mentioned there about Horsham YMCA and their 21s and their reserve teams. How is the rest of the club and the structure? Does that make your job a lot more difficult?
Well, we haven't got a structure, and that's what's really hard. I mean, we've had to disband the 18s, which we had to do last year because we just haven't got anywhere for them to play. They were ground sharing, semi-ground sharing with county clubs, but I think a lot of the county clubs want to do their own things. So for us to have an 18s would be great. For us to have, I mean, we have a problem where we have lads who aren't playing or are coming back from injury, and we have to farm them out on loan. Now, you know what will happen when they go out on loan to clubs. Those clubs are getting into them all the time. You may as well stay. You're clearly not in their plans, and we have that a lot. And we end up losing players. We hemorrhage players from a week on week because there's just nowhere to place them. So if we can get the ground and things, having that structure in place would transform the club really. Until then, we're always going to be sort of plodding along a little bit. I mean, we've lost 3 lads this season already just because one, we've sort of semi-sent them out, or they've not got enough minutes, and they're just not. It's not that they don't want to be at Horsham, but they want to play football. Everyone wants to play football, and we've literally got nowhere for them to play. So week on week, they play 10-15 minutes for us on a Saturday, and then they may do that for a month, and then they're off. And in Sussex being the way it is, the players have always got somewhere else they can go. Well, similar to anywhere really, but they've got somewhere they can go, and managers will promise them the earth, and we find it very hard to retain a big squad or a squad of players because of that.
Like most clubs who can keep 20, 21, 22 players into their squad, it's very difficult for us because we can only name 16 on the day. So naming 16, you're always letting 4 down, and that means that 4, and like Dom says, they just want to play football. So obviously you're going to lose that 4. So we're keeping a squad of 16, 17, and trying to keep that going, and just losing one or two, and it's a nightmare. And then you get injuries, obviously, and you need that 4.
And they've gone. We also have the problem, obviously, we can't, the young lads, they need to develop, and so we've in the last couple of years we've brought in some good young players, but in order to keep them, you need them to be playing, and it's tough.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had the same situation at Walton Casuals. They didn't have an under-18s or anything, and you farm them out, as you rightly said, and yeah, the other managers get into them, and then they end up staying at that club. So I totally appreciate that. It is a harder job, Dom, I'm going to tell you that. Yeah, it is. So well done.
Plenty more talk about the club and Horsham as we go on between now and 1 o'clock today. If you want to get your thoughts in, maybe you're a Horsham supporter, it's official BOTN across social media. Let's turn our attentions back to today's game, and we're going to hear from John Embry, the Herne Bay manager. I caught up with him yesterday. FA Cup games always mean a lot to non-league clubs. Commercially and financially, it can make a huge difference. Does that mean that you have to approach it any differently?
Not really. You should always approach every game you want to try and win it. That's our opinion of it. We'll try and put out the strongest team we can, and try and do things the right way and get the right result. And then hopefully, if you do the right things, you get the win and you get the money. So I don't think it can be any different approach to it other than the same as you've been doing all season, really.
You've been on great form recently. 3 wins, only 1 goal conceded. You must be delighted going into this game.
Yeah, well, it's like anything. You're just trying to get the players to do the right things consistently. We know we've got a good bunch. We know they'll work hard. We know they can create chances. One thing we've always been good at is creating chances. So if we can do that and we can convert them, then hopefully win games. Goals win the games. So. Do
you know a lot about Horsham going into the game?
A little bit. We know a little bit about them. We've watched them and we've done a little bit of homework on them. We try not to focus too much on the other team. We try to focus mainly on us getting out the things we need to do to get us to win a game. If we change our game for another team, ultimately it's going to fall into their hands. That's our opinion of it. Let them worry about us and I think more like it for us.
And it's a great weekend because it's the FA Cup weekend. It's one of those that's just so nostalgic. Whatever level you start at, whether it's the qualifying rounds or the third round proper, everybody loves to talk about the FA Cup. Have you got a favourite memory, maybe away from management, just growing up as a cup final that stands out for you?
Cup final that stands out for me, West Ham. When Trevor Brooking scored. It was one of those ones. I was only young. I was only about 5, I think, at the time. But it's just something I remember. 1980. It was just one of those moments. Also, I remember the Paul Gascoigne free kick in the semi-finals against Arsenal for Tottenham. That was another one that sticks out in the mind. There's a few moments I remember from football. And the FA Cup. Everybody loves it. You certainly grow up on. And doesn't matter whether you're in the FA Cup final or the preliminary rounds. Everybody wants to do well in the FA Cup. It just has that, as I said, that heritage with it and nostalgia.
Do you find that in the dressing room before the game that's something that the players have as well, that the extra special buzz because it's the FA Cup?
Well, I think yeah, of course, because these boys are non-league players. Their dream is to. If you speak to any of them, they'll want to be a professional footballer. And, they look at it as, if they can do well, get through the next round, they could get a league team. And for them to pit their wits against some kind of players is what it's all about for them. And hopefully open doors for themselves, So, it just carries that with it, the FA Cup. It's that one opportunity you get all year long to test yourself against teams in higher leagues, and teams you probably wouldn't get the opportunity to play against.
And I can't let you go without asking you who you think's going to win this year's FA Cup.
Who I think's going to win it? If I was a betting man, I'd put it on Man United.
Well, I'm a Man United fan, so that suits me down to the ground. I'd take that.
Yeah. I think United are very strong this year. I think City. I think Liverpool. Good cup side, they've got an opportunity, but I do fancy Man United.
Back of the net, where it matters.
Yeah, we asked all of the managers that we're going to speak to today, and I'll ask Dom who they think is going to win the FA Cup. So there's the first vote for Manchester United there. Very confident Mick in his interview for today.
So he should be. If you look at their form, I mean, crikey, the last 6 games they haven't lost. So they're going to come here and look to be turning Dom's team over. So hopefully Dom's got his tactics here correct, ready to stifle what they've got to offer.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, do you look at the things like the form? Obviously, you've had a look at the team and you think about the results, who they've played and everything like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the more prep you can do, the better, really. Although it's a bit tricky in our level, because I do find that people tend to mix it up a bit. The further up you go, you tend to see a bit more pattern in the games, but and some changes to shape and personnel, because I still think there's an issue at our level with availability and stuff like that. But yeah, you can get a good feel for it.
Do you think your style of play is going to turn them over today? Are you confident in beating them today, Dom?
We'll give it our best. We'll give it our best. We're never ones to blow our own trumpet. Really, we'll do our best. We'll put the best possible side out we can and try and cause them some problems. We've got some strengths that hopefully will cause them some issues.
Because your supporters, if they're listening to this, would expect you saying, "Yeah, we're going to turn them over today." We've had a bad result against Chipstead. The boys will be rallied, and they're going to turn Herne Bay over.
I think they know what we're like now after 3 years here. I think they know what we're about.
We like being the underdogs. Underdogs are good.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll accept that. I mean, I've not had chance, but I noticed that John Emery's son plays up top. So that may be that, have you seen him? Is he decent or not decent? Or
I've not seen him.
Oh, right. So you've not recce'd them. You've not been there and had a little look at them.
No, we've had them watch, but I haven't personally seen
right,
them play.
Okay, fair enough then. You don't think I'm being too hard on you?
Not at all, mate.
No, not
at all, mate.
Right, we're going to move away from today's game for a moment, and we're going to play the non-league football quiz. Official BOTN across social media. Get your answers in, and you guys are going to play separately today. Sometimes we team up, manager, captain, and assistant manager, but today we thought we'd let you play separately against Mick,
the Oracle.
So Mick has. I don't know how Mick has got on with the quiz. He's done all right, hasn't he? So far, really.
Yeah, he's done fine. I think you tend to come out.
Last.
On top.
Oh.
No, on
top.
On
predictors, I don't come out too good at the minute, but
when other people are playing, I've only tuned in once to this one when I've not been in the room, and you kind of take more notice of it. But it was when you were the only one to get any of them right last time we did an FA Cup one, so it was one, and it was
last week I got the one
Mark.
question right, did I not, against the Greenwich?
Yeah. So Billericay. So for the last 2 weeks, only one point's been given. Is that what we're saying?
Well, probably, but that don't say a lot for who I'm playing against then, does it?
Right, let's get on with the quiz.
The non-league football quiz.
Okay, and then as you mentioned, this is an FA Cup special today. So Mick, hopefully you'll know your FA Cup knowledge, and then Dom and Adam, you can play separately as well. So we'll kick off with the first question.
Question 1.
Who were the lowest ranked side to reach last year's FA Cup third round? Who were the lowest ranked side to reach last year's FA Cup third round? I'm going to give you 3 options. A, Stourbridge, B, Curzon Ashton, or C, South Shields. So who are the lowest ranked side to reach last year's FA Cup third round proper? A, Stourbridge, B, Curzon Ashton, or C, South Shields? Who got an answer for that one?
Yep.
Question 2.
How many teams competed in last year's FA Cup? How many teams competed in last year's FA Cup? Was it A, 892, B, 736, or C, 528?
So we can go over that 3 again?
How many teams competed in last year's FA Cup? A, 892, B, 736, or C, 528?
Mick, are you insinuating you're actually not going to guess that one?
You know what? If I get this wrong, I'm going to kick myself, because it was on a programme this week, House of Games on BBC Two, and that question was on it, and I'm going to kick myself because I bet I get it wrong.
Question 3.
In 1972, the shock of the third round was the exit of Newcastle United. The game was best remembered for Ronnie Radford's famous 30-yard strike, but which team did the giant killing? So in 1972, the shock of the third round was Newcastle United going out, and the game really is remembered for Ronnie Radford's famous 30-yard strike. But which team was it that did that giant killing?
Mick, you're the only one old enough to know this one, aren't you?
Hopefully I know it. I might be wrong. Thank you, Dom.
No worries, mate.
Seemed like there was a lot of confidence in the room for that question.
Question 4.
Which non-league team beat Derby County and Torquay United to set up a 4th round tie with Manchester United at Old Trafford in 2011? Which non-league team beat Derby County and Torquay United to set up a 4th round tie with Manchester United at Old Trafford in 2011? I was going to give you 3 options, but I think I won't bother.
Give me it so I know I've got it right.
A. Crawley Town, B. Stevenage Borough, and C. Exeter City was the 3 options there.
I'm glad you did.
Can I just say that I feel like I've had to make this quiz easier because of the last FA Cup quiz. We got so much grief for being so difficult.
I just seen Burton Albion on Dom's answer sheet. So.
Don't start looking. I want proper.
Official BOTN across social media. Let us know how you're getting on.
Question 5.
Which of these teams won the FA Cup as a non-league team? Which of these teams won the FA Cup as a non-league team? A. Tottenham, B. Aston Villa, or C. Preston North End? Which of those teams won the FA Cup as a non-league team? A. Tottenham, B. Aston Villa, and C. Preston North End. What do you think of the quiz today, Mick?
Reasonable. I think there are reasonable questions, which probably all 3 of us are not going to do too bad on, I'd say. It's going to be tight, I think.
Answers to official BOTN across social media, and we'll come back and find out those answers after this.
You're listening to Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Times are changing. We now live in a digital world where 9 out of 10 people use the internet to look for local goods and services. Whether in front of a computer at home or on a mobile phone on the go, people expect to find what they want, when they want, quickly and easily. The question is, can your business be found? At Promote UK, we specialise in getting local businesses found online. One highly affordable package will give your business a stunning mobile responsive website, which we guaranteed to get to the first page of Google and keep it there. And we take care of everything: copywriting, design, hosting. We even offer unlimited amends all year round for no extra charge. So, whilst you're busy focusing on your business, we're busy making sure it can be found online all year round. Start your Google Page 1 journey today with a free online health check by visiting promoteUKLimited.com. Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Are you looking for a little bit more than a good meal at a pub? The Half Moon is a hidden gem located in the picturesque village of Charlwood on the Surrey-Sussex borders. Proud of old traditions, this Old English pub offers tasty fresh food with locally sourced ingredients, comfortable dining and traditional bar area, as well as a lovely garden for your enjoyment. Evening with friends or lunch with family, whatever the occasion, you can expect our friendly and welcoming staff to help. Half Moon Charlwood. Check out our Facebook page for upcoming events and live music.
Need to refuel? Whether you're heading home or away, get ahead of the game and refuel at Dorking's Service Centre. Dorking's local retailer of quality BP fuel, Costa coffee and food to go. Find us at the traffic lights close to Dorking Halls or at dorkingservicecentre.com.
From Premiership to Playground, MH Goals has everything you need for an outstanding football match, including aluminium and steel football goals, nets, line marking machines, team shelters, boot wipers, and much more. Buy with confidence direct from the manufacturer with great prices available across our whole range of sports equipment. What's more, we offer fantastic discounts for all FA affiliated clubs. We pride ourselves on British manufacturing. We make all our football goals here in the UK and conform to the latest British and European safety standards. So call MH Goals direct on 01502 711 298 or visit our online store at mhgoals.com.
Head to backofthenetsouth.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back to your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the Net, where it matters.
Welcome back to the show this morning. One of our producers, Remy, is questioning my research for the non-league football quiz. I'm sure I've got that right. One of these questions.
Come back to me.
Come back to you. My research is good. So, Mick, you found the quiz was good today?
I hold judgment because it's like anything. You start to sort of second look at your answers, and I'm starting to worry a little bit now.
Okay.
It's time to see who has the best non-league football brain in the studio. Tweet your answers to @officialBOTN.
Okay, let's get straight into this then.
Question 1.
Who were the lowest ranked side to reach last year's FA Cup third round proper? A. Stourbridge, B. Curzon Ashton, or C. South Shields? Mick, what did you get?
Well, I hope I'm right. I thought it was Curzon and Ashton against AFC Wimbledon.
What did we get here? Let's start with Adam.
I got Curzon Ashton.
And
Same.
Okay. It was Stourbridge. They were knocked out 2-1 by Wycombe Wanderers. Curzon Ashton were in the second round. They didn't get to the third round. They lost in the second round.
They were 3-0 up against AFC Wimbledon. I remember watching it on TV.
Yeah, they lost in the second round.
Last 10 minutes.
So Stourbridge were the team that got the furthest in last year's FA Cup, reaching the third round, the lowest ranked team to do that. Okay, so no points for anybody.
Question 2.
How many teams competed in last year's FA Cup? Was it A, 892, B, 736, or C, 528? What did you get, Mick?
God, I'm thinking now. I did put 736, but I'm hankering now for the 500.
What are you going to go for, though?
God, and I know I've heard the answer to this week as well.
He holds the quiz up a lot, doesn't he, Ren?
736. I'm going to go for my.
Okay, Adam.
532.
Oh no!
I've gone 736.
Did you say Adam? Did you say 532? That's not even on the.
Sorry, whatever the
He's gone for his own answer.
He's probably right.
And what did you put, Tom?
736.
Okay, the answer was 736. The teams that competed
Good guess.
in last year's FA Cup.
Question 3.
In 1972, the shock of the third round was the exit of Newcastle United, the game best known for Ronnie Radford's famous 30-yard strike, but which team did the giant kill in, Mick?
Not sure if I've got this right. Northampton Town?
Adam?
Hereford.
Oh!
Hereford.
It was Hereford. They won 2-1 after extra time. It was actually poor old Ricky George who scored the winner, and I say poor old because nobody ever talks about the winning goal. And if you've not seen it, then watch the Ronnie Radford strike from 1972, and you'll see why people just talk about that goal, because it is almost like that was the winner, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nobody realises that it wasn't.
Well done, Adam. I'll tell you what, I'm gutted not getting that one. Absolutely.
Question 4.
Which non-league team beat Derby County and Torquay United to set up a fourth round tie with Manchester United at Old Trafford in 2011? Was it A, Crawley Town, B, Stevenage Borough, or C, Exeter City? Mick?
Well, Stevenage Borough did have a good run in that, but I don't think they played Man United. And they did play Newcastle quite late in the FA Cup. But I'm going for Crawley.
Yeah, I can distinctly remember Crawley up at Old Trafford. No, I don't think Dom should get this because he originally put Burton Albion.
That's it. We're being very tight on this, Dom.
I did write it down, but then I just waited for the questions. I put Crawley.
Yeah, he can get the point there. Now this, it's not controversial, but Rem, one of our producers, said you were telling me that.
No, I got it wrong. You are right.
Okay.
They were promoted from the National League that year as well, but I thought it was earlier because they've had 2 promotions now and a relegation, and they played Man United, and it just seemed to me that it was too soon to happen all at once. But you're right, they were promoted with AFC Wimbledon that year.
Yeah, they were. They had a really good season that season, so it was Crawley Town. Right, one more to go.
Question 5.
Which of these teams won the FA Cup as a non-league team? A, Tottenham, B, Aston Villa, or C, Preston North End? Mick?
Well, the first come in my mind was Tottenham, but I'm going to go for Preston.
Yeah, I'm a Villa fan, so I know if it's not Villa, because they've been in the league, they started the league.
So you've got this wrong, mate.
So I'm going Preston North End.
I've gone Spurs.
The answer was Tottenham Hotspur. They were a non-league side when they won the FA Cup in a replay against Sheffield United in 1901. Now I need to reveal this right now.
Yeah,
Mick.
that was a question early in the wasn't it?
It was a question 2 weeks ago. One of the questions was the question 2 weeks ago was which current Premier League team won the FA Cup as a non-league team after beating Sheffield United. They've won it 8 times. Which current Premier League team? That was the question.
You're right. Hands up.
So I thought you might have got that.
Well, I did say it first off, didn't I? Then changed my mind, didn't I?
Right. What are the scores, Remy?
I just need to go over what the answers were for question 2.
736.
So it's only Adam that didn't get it.
Okay, so I got that right. And then question 3, I kind of was researching.
Have you been paying any attention to this?
Yes, I got the Stourbridge one because no one got that one.
No, Adam went for Northampton Town. I went for Hereford.
Right. Okay.
No, don't do that.
Okay, so I think it is Dom that takes the lead, and then Mick and Adam, you got level with just 2.
You sure?
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
sure I got
No,
3.
he did cross an answer out, didn't he, Adam?
How many did Dom get?
He should be
I've
drawing
got
with
Dom got
us.
4, but I
Four?
think
Dom's got 4.
I did get 4.
Yeah, but Burton, you've got Burton down there or something and scribbled
Yeah,
it
but
out
Burton-
when you saw Adam's answer.
No, I didn't.
No,
I
you're
just
right.
waited for
He
the
did
chance.
actually get 4, and that was fine because he.
Thank you.
Has Mick ever won this?
Not a chance.
He did win it 2 weeks ago, but he was the only person. The questions were very hard.
When Mick signed up to this, did he know it was a football show?
The thing is,
Very good.
the question that Mick got right a couple of weeks ago was which current Bostic team reached, I think it was the 4th round, and it was only because he was at the game. It was Leatherhead.
It was.
In 19, what was it, 70?
Something like that against Leicester. Yeah, I was there.
So there we go. Right, okay, so well done, Dom, for
Thanks.
winning the quiz today. Yeah, Mick does have to...
Don't worry, these questions are going to get harder now, Dom.
Good.
Right, next up, we spoke to Jim Cooper, the Met Police manager. They're in action today against Heybridge Swifts, and here's what he had to say when I caught up with him yesterday. It was an important win for you on Monday night after some tough results.
Yeah, we've had a bit of a strange start to the season, as much as I think in the majority of the games we've had literally 5 to 7 players missing in games, and Monday was the first time really we were able to pick from a fully fit squad, barring 2 senior members. But we played well, deserved the win, and hopefully that'll kickstart us leading into the FA Cup and the other future league games.
As a manager, it's obviously very frustrating when you can't pick your strongest team. When you look at the last few results before the Kingstonian game, are you prepared to sort of say, well, actually, I didn't have the best team. I was missing a lot of players, so I'm not going to read too much into those.
You know, I think it's easy as a manager to make that as an excuse, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm culpable for the result. So, you know, not really. I mean, even the Hendon game on the Saturday beforehand, we should have got, in my opinion, 3 points and end up getting nothing. Leatherhead before that, we got nothing. We should have got at least a point. So even with a weakened team, we were still competing and doing quite well. And I don't really want to get into the realms of me making excuses for my misgivings, if you know what I mean. I appreciate injuries happen, but you know, that's down to me to get a squad of players that can compete even when we're a little bit weaker.
And you mentioned competing. You've certainly done that in the last few games. Leatherhead are right at the top of the division, as are Hendon, and you've only lost by a goal. You've beaten Kingstonian, and before that you conceded 11 goals in 3 games. So there's certainly been that marked improvement over the last few games.
Yeah, I mean, as a club, of the 14 years I've been down there, we tend to have a very, very good defensive record, but we were missing those players actually in defensive positions, and we just wasn't defending well. We were making mistakes and getting punished against good sides. So I'm pleased, as you said, about the fact that we're not conceding as many goals, and you know, as you say, Hendon and Leatherhead near the top, they're both very good sides as well, as were Kingstonian. So yeah, I think the form and our defensive situation has definitely improved. And as I said earlier, you know, I like to think that we can now kick on really.
We always like to try and work out where we think every team's going to finish and what certain teams' expectations might be across the leagues. But what are your expectations for your team this season? I
mean, my genuine expectations this year, prior to the league starting, when I assembled the squad of players, was we were definitely pushing for a playoff place. You know, and I think, you know, looking at some of the sides who are near the top, and as I said, we did compete well against Leatherhead and Hendon, and you know, they're second and third, I think they are. So, you know, there's no reason why we still can't push for that playoff place, but we do need to keep everyone fit. And to be fair, also balance the fact of trying to keep everyone happy when everyone is back fit. And you know, that's the task that all of our management team need to try and get right, I think.
An FA Cup this weekend, and you've been dealt a tough tie at home to Heybridge Swifts. They're in good form.
Yeah, I mean, they're unbeaten in their league. They're scoring a hatful of goals, 7 I think in the last round at Olsey Town. You know, managed by a very, very experienced manager who's been involved in a lot higher football than myself as well. So, yeah, we're under no illusions. I think Saturday's going to be a very, very tough game. It should be a decent game to come and watch, if I'm being brutally honest, because, you know, going forward, we're certainly scoring a few goals now as well. So, Yeah, I mean, I think that one could go either way, but we're planning on getting through to the draw on Monday.
How do you have to change your approach and your team talk for an FA Cup game? It's slightly different. It's a bit magical. Is there anything you have to do that's a bit different in the dressing room before the game?
Do you know what? I actually did that in the previous round against Staines, and just basically mentioned what you said. It's a magical competition, one that we had a good run, I think, five years ago when we played Crawley Town in the first round proper. And you know, whether it's right or wrong, the boys actually do raise their game for those particular events, and you know the rewards that go with winning those ties for the clubs in non-league are not to be scoffed at either. So. Yeah, for me, it's a case of getting the team right and then letting the boys prepare themselves with just a little bit of advice about the opposition, really.
And for you, not just in non-league and management, but across the FA Cup as a whole, have you got a favourite memory, a favourite cup final?
Oh, well, I'm a Chelsea fan, so all the ones that we've won recently, I suppose. But yeah, no, I mean, as a kid, you know, the FA Cup. I mean, when you're playing in the park, you always playing. You say you're in an FA Cup final, but I'm from a family of West Ham fans, and you know, I went to both the 75 and 80 FA Cup final as a real youngster with my dad. So yeah, those two as well, obviously stick in my mind, and they're great events. And I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think the trophy's been watered down with the change to the TV schedules, etc. Because it is, as you said earlier, it's a magical competition.
And I was going to ask you and finish the interview by just asking you who you think is going to win the FA Cup, but I've got a feeling I know who you're going to say.
Answer, don't you? Well, I think they've got a very, very good chance, you know. So yeah, I mean, of course I want Chelsea to win it, but you know what? Last year with the Sutton run last year and Lincoln and whatever, I just hope that one of the non-league sides also manages to get to the third, fourth round and give everyone in non-league a boost as it did last year.
For all the best coverage from across the Bostik leagues, visit backofthenetsouth.co.uk.
Yeah, it's been a mixed bag for them this season, but they've turned it around the last few games. But they've got a really tough tie today because Heybridge Swifts are in great form. They haven't lost. They've won every one of their games, albeit one of them was called off last time out. But that could be an upset today.
It could be, as we visited a few Bostik North grounds of recent times, and they all know each other, these managers in these Essex teams, and they've talked Jody Brown's team up big time, and obviously their league form is suggesting they're right in what they're saying. Having said that, I mean, Jim's a good battler. His sides always go out there and compete, and yeah, I would have thought Jim's thinking we could get turned over because they've scored a lot of goals this other side. But these sides only get one chance at it, and so if Heybridge Swift don't do the business today, then I can only see Jim's doing it in the replay. But I think it will be a tightish game. Yes, there will be goals, and we'll have to wait and see where the outcome is. But I just think maybe Jim's side will just sniff it.
Yeah, it'll be a really fascinating one, and it'll be a good replay if that went to a replay and took them back to Heybridge. I think that'll be a...
Well, could we go down Essex on Tuesday night for that one?
Maybe. I'll speak to the producers, eh? But going back to the FA Cup again, your pedigree was just having a little read up about it, you know, second round that you got to, obviously aware of the history and the 2007 and 8 season.
It's been mentioned a couple of times.
I remember watching that game on TV.
Same,
Swansea?
Yeah, Swansea, that's right.
Yeah, I was watching it live on ITV. I think it might always live on one of those channels. But
took a 2-1 lead at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was the centre midfield player that went to Three Bridges from there?
Lee Carney.
Yeah, that's it. He was very instrumental that day, along with Jarman and all, wasn't he?
Great player,
yeah.
Lee. Great player, bit of a hero at Horsham as well.
Yeah, where's he playing now?
I think he's done. I think he's retired.
Wow, right.
And not obviously 2007-8. It's not too long to look back on, so it's still sort of in the memory as for Herne Bay that their best is a fourth round qualifying spot, and that was back in the 70-71 and 86-87 season. So you've definitely got the cup history on your side today. Is that mentioned by the board a few times that, you know, hey, we did it back in this day, then we need to do it again financially?
No, I mean, we're not put under pressure. You put yourself under pressure really, because you want to create some memories and make some money really.
So what you're saying, the if you lost today, the Horsham supporters would be clapping you and saying, "Never mind, Dom," like, you know, or will they be banging on that old dugout saying, fair, "Oi, come on." Being
honest, the Horsham supporters, they're ridiculously good. You know, there's times when we feel we deserve some grief, and they don't give us it. That's not to say they won't, they're not disappointed when we don't get results, but they are brilliant in that respect.
There's an open invite then to the supporters today.
Give us some grief, yeah.
Mick, I'm going to ask you about this. We talk about this a lot when the FA Cup comes round, but in the dressing room, and you've got the experience last year that it's fortunate for us to draw on with Merstham when you got to the first round proper and you had games with the likes of Ebbsfleet. What's the difference in the dressing room when it's an FA Cup game? When you speak to people, they say the magic of the Cup and the excitement every player wants to play in the FA Cup. Is that something that you have to control in a certain way in the dressing room?
Yeah, probably, but as Dom was correct, the further you go, and we were sort of Ebbsfleet Town, we only had to beat them and we knew we had a chance of picking someone decent out the hat. So there was a buzz, there was no doubt about it. And of course we were the underdogs by a long shot. They were meant to be the sort of like the giant killers of the non-league scene with the money at that point. So that's what made it. Hayden talks about this quite. Our cup final was that Ebbsfleet game rather than the Oxford game. And yes, the players were buzzing because they knew that there was a carrot at the end of that one. Yes, there's a carrot at this sort of level, but it's a bigger one when you get a couple of more rounds in.
Yeah.
Mick's given you a lot of grief today. I've just thought, because it's an FA Cup themed show, perhaps you could talk about the tactics in the Merstham Oxford United game.
No comment. No, I think they did. Started well, didn't you, really, Mick?
We did. We passed the ball about a lot, that's for sure. Until it was a cracking free kick that we went 1-0 down. But you remember, I weren't the coach, but I was assistant manager, so we better pick out the coach.
I was going to ask you about that actually, because when you get the teams that play against the big teams, and for Merstham to play Oxford, it's the same as Crawley. We worked it out actually when we had a show. It was more places between Merstham and Oxford than there were between Crawley and Manchester United when they played. A lot of people said you've got to get at them. You've got to make them feel uncomfortable. You've got to kick them. You've got to give them no time. Make them feel that they're at a different place, different level here, which might not be going with the modern culture of passing football. But do you think that result could have been any different, or that game, if you'd have played a different way?
This is so unfair, Ben. That is so unfair. I'm meant to be digging out Dom here, and you're now digging me out.
I thought I'd support you out.
Yeah,
Good
you
man.
really have. But what I would say, Hayden as well as I know Hayden, he will not change his game plan. He's got his football principles, and he stuck to those football principles. Had they worked on the day, we did. I don't think Hayden wants us to pass and play the game that way. I'm slightly different, but we're a team, and we decided that was the way we were going to go on that day. We played a false number 9 in Dan Bennett, and we nearly had a couple of chances that might have got us back in that game. It was it looks like a 5-0 smashing, but in all honesty, I think that's a bit harsh on us. Really, we did play some good passage of play, and we did worry them a couple of times, but it wasn't to be. We could have taken a different game and smashed it at them and got at them and played it differently, but that would be going against Hayden's football principles. And thank you for putting me on the spot there, Ben.
Let's take it away from Merstham then. We've got a few games today. You see the likes of Potters Bar Town. They're going to Hampton and Richmond Borough, and also Eastbourne Borough, Jamie Howe's team. They've got Carshalton Athletic, a team you know well, that are visiting them. Couple of leagues different. Do they have to change the way they play against these bigger teams to give them more of a chance?
Knowing Peter Denny, I'm not so sure. Peter's got his own football principles like Hayden has, and I think he'll go there and he'll play the football that they want to play. I don't think he's going to start worrying. Obviously, he'd give them huge respect in Jamie's Eastbourne Borough, and so he should do. But I think he will go there and play the game his way. And, as I think Dom's nodding and Adam, the fact that it was going to be an interesting game, and Jamie knows that's going to be an interesting game. The Cup is a leveller, particularly the first game. The second game, if it goes to replay, becomes true to form in my idea, but the first game is pretty much a leveller, and everyone's going hell for leather to win that game.
We played Carshalton twice last year, obviously, and they was by far the best team that we played. If they play like they do, and they can do, I think it's one for a shot. And I know Jamie quite well, so sorry if you listen to this, Jamie. But if they play how they can play, it could be a shock on a course.
They're a very good side, Carshalton, and they play really good football.
And of course, a little bit of snippet of news that I've found out, they have now signed Anton Douglas from Worthing. So he's now joined their fold, which is a big signing, because I know there's 2 or 3 other clubs looking to try and sign him as well. So good on Pete. Peter knows those type of players. He obviously knew Anton when he was with us at Merstham a couple of seasons ago. So all these connections do help you.
Yeah, and I should say that Jamie Howe, the Eastbourne Borough manager, and Peter Adinyai, the Carshalton Athletic manager, will both be on the show a little bit later on. We'll hear from both of them, and in that interview Jamie does pay a lot of respect towards Carshalton Athletic. I think he's under no uncertain terms that it's going to be a tough fixture for them. A couple of other fixtures to talk about in the FA Cup today. Folkestone and Invicta take on Tooting and Mitcham United. Tooting and Mitcham have had a difficult start to the season, but possibly for them, Mick, it's an opportunity to forget about the league and have a cup run. Yeah,
of course it is. They've not started off particularly great in the Bostik Prem. And I fancy Frank was up for it. They turned Merstham over, and you would have thought Merstham would have had that motivation to want to win that game. So it's not as if they sort of didn't. That was a really good sculpt for them. I think, Frank, they could be a little bit of a shock there.
And Folkestone and Invicta came through the last round against Greenwich Borough, who are one of the strongest teams in the division below. It was 3-2. And they've had a decent start as well. They've won 3 games, drawn 2 and lost 1. So it's going to be interesting to say which way that goes.
What an experienced manager Neil Cudley is. They've always been really strong defensively, but I noticed they've lost Frankie Chappell, who's gone to Hastings. So they're back for, normally you would get in behind them. I'm not so sure whether you'll get in behind them now. I've not watched Folkestone this coming season. So they used to be a little bit predictable in my mind how to play against them. So I think Neil's probably shook that up a little bit. So it will be a tight game because I think Tooting will want to give a good account of themselves, and I think it's going to be a goal either way or even a draw possibly.
Well, we'll hold that prediction for the moment for you. Last game that's not in the predictions, Lowestoft Town against Harlow Town to look at. 2 teams again in the same division. They both struggled in the league, really, sitting in the bottom half of the tables. Should be an exciting cup game though, because they're both capable on the day of doing quite well, and it was a good win for Harlow against Thurrock. And Lowestoft beat Bedford Town in the last round. Yeah,
Harlow have lost a couple of players, have moved clubs. I think one of their key players has gone to Grays this week. So that's a big loss for them. I'll have to look out his name, but that's a loss to Harlow. It's a difficult. Who's got the home advantage there, Ben?
Lowestoft Town.
Oh, that helped them because it's not an easy place to go to Harlow. I've been there. The supporters are right behind the dugout. They have a big siren going at you, and they're right at you. So. Yeah, Lowestoft could actually nick a 1-0 win there.
I think this is the point in the show which it feels right to go and do Mick versus the manager and get some of these predictions. A couple of those games that we've talked about are in here, but Remy, you've got a few more facts and stats on them.
Yeah, so our first game is Met Police and Heybridge Swifts. So we've already talked about them a little bit, but just in case anyone's tuning in now, I'll go over it again. The season has not started positively for Jim Cooper's men, with the home side picking 2 wins and a draw in their opening 7 games. However, the Met will be looking to extend their winning streak to 2 games after winning only their second game of the season last week against Kingstonian. Heybridge sit 3rd in the Bostik League with 5 from 5 wins, so we're going confidently into this game with plenty of momentum. Jodie Brown's men won their first FA Cup qualifying game 7-0 away at Arsley Town, so be quietly confident going into today's game at Inball Court. So are we going to do a joint prediction with the assistant manager and manager?
Yeah, we'll do joint, yeah.
Okay.
So you 2 team up this time.
So Mick, what do you think for this one?
Well, I wrote 1-1 down here only because Met Police are a vastly improved side to what they were at the beginning of the season. I watched them against Kingstonian last Monday, and they were a lot better than what I saw them early season. They've gained a couple of extra players from other clubs, which has boosted them or whatever. Heybridge Swifts are doing really tidy stuff in their league, so I was going to go 1-1 and in a replay, and maybe we go down Essex Tuesday night. No, I'm going to go 2-1 Met Police.
And joint prediction from you guys then to go up against Mick?
Yeah, I think we'd both written this down before you even said Mick, but we're going for a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw.
Yeah.
It's going to be tight, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, game 2, we've also discussed it, Eastbourne Borough and Carshalton Athletic. So Eastbourne Borough go into their home tie against Carshalton Athletic, sitting 10th in the National League South, having won 3 of their last 5 games. Jamie Howe's men are in need of a victory, having not won in their last 2 games. Carshalton sit 5th in the South Division and remain unbeaten, having won 4 games and drawn 1 so far. Their last results saw them record a 2-1 victory at home to Faversham Town. Both teams are in decent form and will be looking to progress to the 3rd qualifying round.
3-2 Eastbourne Borough.
Yeah, we think that there's going to be goals in that one. I think so. Both teams are going to score. Well, I think we're going to go for Eastbourne Borough wins. 2-1?
2-1.
2-1.
And that's just because Eastbourne are at home, I think.
Okay, so next is a game that we haven't spoken about yet, so Dartford and Barking. So Dartford are currently top of the National League South on goal difference after losing just one game all season. Tony Berman's men moved up to top spot after recording their third consecutive win in a 4-2 victory over Eastbourne Borough on Tuesday. Free-scoring darts have found the net no less than 27 times in 11 games this season. Skipper Elliot Bradbrook, who broke the club's top scorer in each 4 of the last seasons, is now leading the way this season with 7 goals. He'll be hoping to become the first player in the current squad to register a goal in the FA Cup when his team face Barking today. Barking have had a shaking start to the season and didn't win a game in the Bostik North League until they overcame Grays Athletic 3-1 on September 9th. They followed this up 3 days later with a 1-0 win over Ware, which moves them up to 13th in the table. The second qualifying round tie against Dartford will be the 4th FA Cup game of the season for the Blues. They needed a replay to overcome Saffron Walden Town in the preliminary round, and also a replay against Golston. Their best ever FA Cup run came in 1981-82 when they held Gillingham to a 1-1 draw in the second round proper before losing 3-1 in a replay. So Dartford and Barking.
Dartford are top of the, is it Conference National?
Conference South.
South, are they? Oh, right, okay. Well, we've got to go for them. 2-0.
I think 4-1, 4-0.
4-1 or 4-0? Are we going to give Barking a goal?
Go on, let's be nice. 4-1. 4-1.
4-1. And the final game, we have already spoken about this one, but it's Folkestone Invicta and Tooting and Mitcham. So Folkestone are currently 8th in the Premier Division and go into the FA Cup second round qualifying game on the back of 5 straight wins in all competitions. Manager Neil Cudgley, currently celebrating 20 years in charge at the club, will be waiting on fitness reports for top scorer Joe Taylor. Taylor scored both Invicta's goals on Tuesday Kent Senior Cup tie against Greenwich Borough, but was forced off after 82 minutes with an injury. The Seasiders, who beat Borough in the first qualifying round of the FA Cup, went on to win their competition 5-4 on penalties. So sorry, that was the Bostik. Oh God, I'm getting these confused now. The Bostik. What's it called? The Cup.
The Cup. The League Cup.
There we are.
Yeah. Say League Cup.
The League Cup. Yeah, it's very confusing. Sorry. And they'll be hoping to take a step forward to beat their FA Cup first round proper, where they reached it in 2006. Tooting and Mitcham have a rich FA Cup history, having beat Swindon Town on their way to the fourth round proper back in 1975. However, they've only won one game this season, but that did come in the FA Cup, and that was against Merstham. Yet to win a league in the Premier Division, they sit with 2 points, second from bottom at the moment.
What do you think, Mick?
Difficult, knowing both managers reasonably well, particularly Frank, and he has helped me out on the old beat the manager bit, hasn't he? So maybe I owe him a prediction. Maybe I'm vying for a draw in this, but God, Frank, you're going to do it. 2-1, Tooting, away win. That is going to be controversial. Sorry, Neil, but just I owe Frank one, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, Tooting, they can play well. They're one team who won the league last year that did it as a team and not as any individuals. There was a great team ethic there, and they never give up. And the FA Cup can throw, but we just think. Maybe I'm changing the prediction, by the way. I'm going 2-0. No, 2-1 Tooting.
Oh, good.
And we know Frank listens to the show because a couple of weeks ago, 2-1 Tooting. Yeah.
Oh, we're going the same, are we?
Yeah.
All right,
Frank listens to the show as well. Good morning, Frank. Basically, Mark was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he said that Merstham were going to win 4-0. And Frank tweeted in and said, "Thanks very much for your prediction. Remember who won the league."
He's gutted now, and we've gone with him. He can't do it now, can he?
That's it. Okay, interesting predictions. We'll get them
going. Can I swap my prediction now? He ain't going to have the motivation. I'll go Folkestone 2-0 win then. No, I'm teasing. Go on.
We'll get that up later on. You can play along wherever you are as well. Official BOTN if you want to get onto the leaderboard. How is Mick doing at the moment?
Let me just check. But yeah, think
second
he might
bottom,
be seventh,
second
yeah.
bottom. Don't worry, I know.
Yeah, 7 out of 8.
And the rules to the, I'm not even going to go into them, but we've worked it all out, so it's fair. So Mick is competing to be in that table, even though he plays every week. You might be thinking he's got a better chance, but it really doesn't
Don't
work
look
like
that way, does it?
No, it doesn't. Okay, do you guys have to go? Can you stay a bit longer? What's your sort
We're
of
not
time
going
frame?
before I get some of these questions out. I've got a couple of.
You got a few more minutes to stay with us?
Yep.
Well, we'll do those questions. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back with Mick's quick fire 6 questions.
You're listening to Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Times are changing. We now live in a digital world where 9 out of 10 people use the internet to look for local goods and services. Whether in front of a computer at home or on a mobile phone on the go, people expect to find what they want, when they want, quickly and easily. The question is, can your business be found? At Promote UK, we specialise in getting local businesses found online. One highly affordable package will give your business a stunning mobile responsive website, which we guarantee to get to the first page of Google and keep it there. And we take care of everything: copywriting, design, hosting. We even offer unlimited amends all year round for no extra charge. So, whilst you're busy focusing on your business, we're busy making sure it can be found online all year round. Start your Google Page 1 journey today with a free online health check by visiting promoteUKLimited.com. Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Are you looking for a little bit more than a good meal at a pub? The Half Moon is a hidden gem located in the picturesque village of Charlwood on the Surrey-Sussex borders. Proud of old traditions, this old English pub offers tasty fresh food with locally sourced ingredients, comfortable dining and traditional bar area, as well as a lovely garden for your enjoyment. Evening with friends or lunch with family, whatever the occasion, you can expect our friendly and welcoming staff to help. Half Moon Charlwood. Check out our Facebook page for upcoming events and live music.
Need to refuel? Whether you're heading home or away, get ahead of the game and refuel at Dorking's Service Centre. Dorking's local retailer of quality BP fuel, Costa coffee and food to go. Find us at the traffic lights close to Dorking Halls or at dorkingservicecentre.com.
From Premiership to Playground, MH Goals has everything you need for an outstanding football match, including aluminium and steel football goals, nets, line marking machines, team shelters, boot wipers, and much more. Buy with confidence direct from the manufacturer with great prices available across our whole range of sports equipment. What's more, we offer fantastic discounts for all FA affiliated clubs. We pride ourselves on British manufacturing. We make all our football goals here in the UK and conform to the latest British and European safety standards. So call MH Goals direct on 01502 711 298 or visit our online store at mhgoals.com.
Back of the Net, the official partner of the Bostik Leagues. Join us from 2:30 for live coverage from today's game. Back of the Net, where it matters. Back to your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the Net, where it matters.
Welcome back to the show this afternoon. We've still got an hour left, just short of an hour left. We're down in Lancing for Horsham's game against Herne Bay. And we were trying to get another cup of tea in, but they've closed for an hour, haven't they? That's what's happened. We're in between that period where they've had a game on this morning and obviously getting ready for this afternoon. So, Mick, you don't get your tea?
No. Never mind. I can live with it.
We move on.
Can I get my questions though?
You can. So we're going to set the stopwatch and...
No. Can we do that in a minute? I've got 2 important questions prior to that, if it's possible.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because they are important ones and I'm sure the supporters would like to know about it.
Okay,
my first question, Dom. Have you had a call from Worthing? I know it's sort of like, has there been any connections with you and Worthing in taking up this vacant managerial spot? No, category. Right, okay. I don't know any different, Dom. I'm just asking, because I'm sure some of the supporters might be thinking, because obviously that's where you live, it's your connection, it's a step up and that, and maybe the supporters would be thinking you could be an obvious candidate for Worthing to come along and ring you. If they rang you, would you go?
It's a bit of a tough question on day like today. But no, I mean,
I said they'd be tough.
No, I mean, it's fair enough, but they haven't. So
right, okay, that's fine. It's a tough question,
toughest
mate,
question of the day.
Good on you to be honest about it. Good on you to be honest about it. And the other tough one. Come on, Ian's just been in here. What's you've been together a long time.
Yeah.
What's happened with that connection? I was quite gobsmacked. I didn't know until 3 or 4 weeks into the season that fantastic partnership that's been going a long time has all of a sudden split.
Yeah. No, it's not really anything. There's no like big drama. I mean, we speak most days, don't we? You know, we talk all the time. I think we've kind of changed our views on a few things, and you know yourself, if you've got different views in football, it can be a bit of a nightmare at times. And we just sort of took the view that instead of falling out, which we would have ended up doing if we keep having completely polar opposite views. I think if you're all in the same direction, you've got half a chance. But if you have got that complete polar opposites at times, then it just got harder and harder.
Isn't that strange? You've been together that long, and all of a sudden you're having polar different views that much.
Yeah, I mean, but I suppose it does happen, doesn't it? And I think Browner may want to just do something different. I mean, in all jokes aside, he's not got the limelight that perhaps at times he's deserved. So there might be some of that to it. He deserves some credit for what he's done, and perhaps he wants to try different things, or may have a different impact. And like I said, I'd sooner not fall out with people. I don't want to end up us not being mates. We've known each other 10 years, haven't we? As a three, we've known each other for 10 years, and why fall out for football? It's only football at the end of the day, isn't
Tom, top man for answering. They were difficult ones, as I said to you. They were difficult ones. Thank you for being honest about that.
I'm still getting over that first question. Do you fancy the Worthing job, do you? Would you go if they asked you?
Well, time will tell, won't they?
But that's why Mick's here.
I've taken that we've all heard he's not, so it's what it is, all right? And now, are we going to do my quick six?
So now you'll be grateful now, Dom, that you've only got 60 seconds, so that the pain will only be for 60 seconds. So we're going to start the stopwatch now. Go.
Most likely player to win Club Man of the Year trophy?
Alex Duncan.
Best banter?
Maybe Rob O'Toole.
Most vain player?
Adam Hunt.
Dimmest player?
Oh, so many. Who do you reckon? Charlie Farmer?
No,
Adam Hunt.
Dressing room leader?
Maybe Buddy. Darren Budd.
Yeah, I could have made him, but thank you very much. Top man, thank you both for that. You've been good company today.
You only took 26 seconds to answer those well. Maybe we should have it as a 30-second feature, I think.
Yeah, cut it down a bit, yeah. I made them too easy as well. I'm gonna change that a little bit.
I'm going to refine them. And I'll work on the quiz for you, Mick, as well. Thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us, Adam and Dom. And obviously, best of luck for the game today. And we'll speak to you at the end of the game.
Cheers, thanks for inviting me.
Cheers, guys.
Hope for a good game. Dom and Adam, the Horsham manager and assistant manager. Next up on the show, we're going to speak to Steve Ringrose, the Potters Bar town manager. They take on Hampton and Richmond Borough today in the FA Cup, and I caught up with them yesterday. Steve, they say you're only as good as your last game, and it was pretty impressive on Tuesday night. A 4-0 victory, 4 different goal scorers, and all the goals in the second half, and you're fourth in the league. You must be very happy.
We put a side together pre-season. I went away for most of the summer, and I got JD, my assistant, to do a lot more, training him up a lot more to be able to run the first team in conjunction with me. Spent a lot of time in the summer talking between the two of us about the types of players we wanted, and luckily quite a few of those came on board, and with the lads that stayed, we felt we had a decent chance of at least having a good run in the league this year and bettering what the club have ever achieved, but you never know until it actually settles down. So yeah, happy with the start. Maybe could have been a little bit better, but at the same time, you can never expect perfection, so that's for sure.
You mentioned bettering what the club have ever achieved. Since you've been there, it's been a steady progression, 14th in the first season, then 12th, 9th last season, so it would be nice to beat that this year.
It would be lovely to even get close to the playoffs this year, to be fair. I mean, obviously changing leagues, it's an unknown quantity. It's something that I know very well, the Ryman League. I've managed probably more games in there than I have under the Southern League banner, the Bostic League as it should be now. And obviously from that point of view, I know the styles of football are very different in this league, and so we brought in a certain type of player that we felt would enhance what we were trying to do. And unfortunately at the moment, the jigsaw falls into place. Unfortunately, we've picked up a lot of injuries and a couple of suspensions at the start of the season, and it has hampered us a little bit on team selection. But we've got a good few youngsters who attend the Stanmore College that are part of part of our scheme as well now, and certainly they have enhanced everything we've tried to do as well. So it's been very good. So.
And one of the pleasing things for Tuesday night must have been 4 different goal scorers on the score sheet, which is always a good sign for a team.
Yeah, I think we've worked hard in training pre-season and worked hard with getting patterns that we want to play, and certainly an interchange of passing and getting people forward and into the box. And obviously one of the things that we've highlighted that if you look at the league form from anybody's point of view, if you don't concede too many goals at set pieces and free kick, then at the end of the day you can be successful. And I think one of our strengths has been our set pieces and free kicks at the attacking end. We've certainly scored from quite a few corners and free kicks this season, and obviously I think 3 the other night, 2 from corners and 1 from a set piece again. So it was very pleasing.
So this weekend the attention turns to the FA Cup, and last year you had a great cup run, losing in the end in the 4th round qualifying to Cheshire United. Do you think you can go one better this year?
A bit disappointed there. We gave away a soft penalty and felt that we had chances at the end to maybe bring them back to our place, and it would have been great to push on one step further. We've actually got 3 lads involved within the squad this year who actually went to the first round proper with Herne Bay last year. So again, they know the passion and the desire it takes. It's a special competition, certainly for the senior players and the older lads who obviously watch the finals at Wembley and things like that. It's a little bit special to play in that, and I think it's a great lift for the young kids as well coming through who have never ever played in an FA Cup tie. Probably a couple of them will have the opportunity on Saturday, and obviously it gives them a chance to understand why everybody loves the competition so much.
Do you know much about your opponents, Hampton and Richmond Borough?
We've watched them, and they've given us the respect to watch us as well. Yes, and obviously we'll do our homework and try to see what can happen. Let's be fair, we're the underdogs massively in the tie, but everyone said that last season when we went away to places like Canvey Island and Bath City, and I think for the supporters that were with us at Bath away last season will remember a compact and dedicated performance that we ended up winning on penalties. And I think we'll go away from home, trying to become a tough side to beat, but appreciate the fact that we've got to be clinical if we do get forward on the break, and look to try and score an odd goal here or there.
And anything can happen, and it is the magic of the FA Cup. Have you got any memories, perhaps not just as a manager, but watching FA Cup finals in years gone by? Any of your favourites that stick out?
Oh, well, as a Spurs supporter, I've got a few, to be honest. I think in particular, you look back, certainly in my time as a manager, when I first went into management, we had a good run when I first took over at Finchley nearly 30 years ago, and we got through to the 3rd or the 4th qualifying round. I remember we got drawn against Wycombe Wanderers at home and had a great day, great turnout, and got thrashed 6-0. But it's still one of those games that sticks in the back of your mind. Obviously, the cup runs over different clubs and different periods have always been special, and Saturdays will be no different at all. I think the last round against Bishop Stortford, we prepared properly for it. We got the lads up for it, as they will be tomorrow, and who knows? On the day, let's be fair. Hampton and Richmond should be the favourites to win the game, and if they've done their homework properly, they will probably feel that if they work hard, they'll do exactly that. But let's see if we can spoil their party on the day and take something back to our place, or else maybe pull off a surprise win.
Have your say. Get in touch on social media. Just search official BOTN.
Interesting game today, Potters Bar Town against Hampton and Richmond, and we'll speak to the Hampton and Richmond manager Alan Dowson shortly, but that's going to be fascinating from Potters Bar Town point of view. They've got nothing to lose.
No, look, Dowse knows all about. He's an experienced blooming manager. Dowse will be giving them the utmost respect. He knows how shocks can happen in this competition. And in all honesty, the way that the Potters Bar manager's been speaking, he sounded very confident. And we all know in these first games it levels out because there's so much at stake. And I know Dowse will be concerned about this team. I think they're half reasonable, Potters Bar. I've not seen their league form. What's the league form? Have you got any information on them at all, Potters Bar? Are they doing well in their league?
We do have. I think they're doing okay. They've done okay in the last few games.
Yeah. So they've won 4, drawn 1 and lost 1, so 13 points, sit 4th after 6 games.
Well, I think they're going to give Hampton Richmond a good game today.
Be interesting to say. We'll speak to Alan Dowson very shortly as well. Next up, it's Kit's Really Easy, which Luke's not here today, which means that we might actually get a different winner because Luke's not done very well so far. Has he won any, has he?
No, it's currently 5-0. But now I'm going against Mick. I'm like, oh God, I need to keep my clean sheet.
So Mick up against Remy. Mick, you're playing for Luke today, but we're going to let Remy go first. So if you could just make your way out, so you don't hear any of the teams. And in fact, you don't have to go out of the room. You can stay over there because we're only going to play it through the headphones. So Remy's first up. Official BOTN across social media. You can have a go at this as well. You ready for this, Rem?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, we'll get the stopwatch ready. You've got 30 seconds to name as many as you can. Dara is going to be the official adjudicator for this. Let's get going.
Brightling Sea Regent.
Red and black.
Harlow Town.
Blue.
Tonbridge Angels.
Blue.
Barking.
Red.
Herne Bay Borough.
Yellow.
Waltham Abbey.
Black and white.
Shoreham.
Blue.
Carshalton Athletic.
Red.
Faversham Town.
Blue.
Corinthian Casuals.
They play in pink and brown.
Okay, did it in 28 seconds. Right, Mick, you can come back in now, and we'll go through the scores in a moment. That was Kit's really easy, the first round. This is what happens when Mick goes out of the room, because now he can't hear us. He's not going to come back in. We're in Horsham today. We're just shouting out. We're actually right by the pitch, and there was a game going on earlier on. I think it was an under-18s game. Obviously, the game going on a bit later. Mick's wandered out of the studio, and this is what happens. We send someone out, and then we can't get them because they wander too far off. Luke did this the other week as well.
It's really nice weather out there, though.
So Remy's done all right, I think. So Mick, you're next up with this. You got 30 seconds to name as many kit colours as you can. You ready?
Go.
Off you go.
Brightling Sea Regent.
Blue.
Harlow Town.
Red.
Tonbridge Angels.
Blue.
Barking.
Not a clue. Green.
Herne Bay Borough.
Yellow.
Waltham Abbey.
White.
Shoreham.
Blue.
Carshalton Athletic.
Maroon or red. Maroon or red.
Faversham Town.
White.
Corinthian Casuals.
Pink and chocolate or whatever.
You used all of your 30 seconds. One of the ones I wanted to go back to was it Barking that you said you didn't know?
Yeah.
So if you don't know a club, I'm interested to know why you went for green. As it's, I think if I didn't know, so I'd probably have gone for the either red or blue or white, the predominant colours.
What are they? Interesting. Now, don't tell me
They're
I
in
picked.
front of you.
Oh, they are actually on the. They're actually there.
Oh.
Blue.
No, they're red.
Are they red? Barking red.
Barking is the top one.
Okay, Barking are red.
Hold on. Can I just say that Remy probably had an added advantage there?
Because I stapled. Yeah, look, that's Barking's top.
Yeah, you'd have had the added advantage on me there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Barking play in red. Right, so let's go through them. So Brightling Sea Regent, we had, what do we have, Dara?
Red and black stripes.
So who got
so Remy got that one, red and black. Sorry, Mick.
Also in front of you, Mick.
Harlow Town next up?
They are red and white. Mick got half marks because I think, did you just say red?
Yeah, I thought, are we having to give two colours?
If they're striped, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mick's so competitive. Tonbridge Angels.
It was...
They're blue.
Blue, yeah, blue.
Barking we know is red. Herne Bay Borough? Yellow, isn't it? Yellow,
yeah,
playing
so
yellow.
We both got the point for that one.
Waltham Abbey, there are green and white hoops.
So 2 wrong, sorry.
Shoreham playing blue?
Yes.
Carshalton Athletic in red.
You got half marks for that, Mick.
Well, what did I say? Red or maroon, didn't I?
Yeah, you weren't sure, so I have to knuckle down on this.
God, I can't get any more precise than
the
that.
harshest of marking. Faversham Town is black and white. How did we get on with that?
Mick got that one, didn't he?
I got white,
got
yeah,
white,
but
yeah.
I thought they're predominantly white, aren't they? I mean, this is. Are you going for black trims? We can't do.
No,
that.
main colours.
Yeah, which is
okay.
white.
We'll give you the full point for white then.
Okay, Corinthian Casuals we've got down as brown, burgundy, and pink.
Well, brown/burgundy.
I've surely got that.
You've
right.
all got the points for that. So what was the final scores, Dara?
So, Rem, you maintain your clean sheet with 6 out of 10, and Mick has 5 out of 10.
But that's probably Luke's best score so far.
Luke. Thanks for that. I can't believe it. I was shocked.
I can't believe that I've beat Mick Sullivan at a non-league game.
Yeah, thank you.
But
thank you.
Luke has got his best score ever, so I'll be really pleased.
Yeah.
Okay, official BOTN if you want to let us know how you got on and make sure we got all the colours right, which Barking, we had it down as blue originally. Maybe that's their away shirt. We'll find out.
I'll double check that.
Unless this is their last season shirt. But I don't think you'd change your home colour.
I think they play in red, but we'll double check and let you know if it's their away one that's blue, just to be sure. Next up, let's hear from Alan Dowson, the Hampton and Richmond manager. They go up against Potters Bar Town, and I caught up with him yesterday. Alan, is it fair to say that you're starting to find your feet this season after a couple of good away draws in the last 2 games?
Yeah, well, we'll get better. It's just to lose the lads, and obviously Leon, it was very sad what happened to Leon. He had his knee operation yesterday, and Harold obviously went to Maidenhead. We're trying to make the squad a bit stronger with it without getting players from below. I feel like, and it's difficult. It's difficult to be players. So for the first time in quite a while, we've got to try to build a team, and we'll make mistakes along the way, but eventually we will build one. What we always do. So that's how we'll go. We could say we've had a few draws, but we're still 5 games unbeaten in this league. And when we got promoted, it was always going to be to get in the league and make it into the Conference South club. Because we're doing well last season, finishing 7th, it's always that thing about doing better. So in management, I suppose you've got to get on with it,
And you must be delighted with one of your signings, Max Kretschmer. 5 goals so far this season. He's settled in really well.
A good lad. He's a good kid. Really good lad. I used to coach him when he was a young boy, apparently, when he was at Emberhurst School. So he's a local boy as well. And, he's come and scored goals, and he's been good around the place. And, he has been a good signing. And there's a lot more to come from Max as well, to be honest. He only played 22 games last season because he had a few injuries. Now his injuries are starting to clear up. He's going to the gym all the time and he's enjoying his football. I still think there's a lot more to come.
Do you think the expectation on managers in football now is bordering on the ridiculous? You mentioned that you've only come up last season, had a fantastic year, and you hear some things of people perhaps criticising this year and saying, well, we should be doing better. Supporters' expectations are so high now in football. It's almost impossible for a manager.
I've got a good chairman here, I talk to him 3 or 4 times a day, so that's absolutely fine him. But some people do get carried away a little bit, where, like you say, you win a championship and it was always going to be, let's turn into the Conference South club. Once we do that, we'll try to go in the Premier League, all clubs. But you don't get a chance anymore, to be honest. So it is a quick fix a lot of time and stuff. And because last season we had a good season, and through probably default we got in the playoffs, and you say, well, do it again. But can you do it? Yeah, it's possible again. But the bottom line is at 3 o'clock every single Saturday, everybody in the football club who is with Hampton and Richmond will expect us to win. And as a manager, you expect it as well. So you live and die by the sword and sort of thing. And all you can do is look yourself in the mirror, give everything all the time, believe in yourself, believe in your team. And but I do know that we'll get better and we'll build a team, that's for certain. But obviously some people sometimes think it should happen straight away. And you can, the thing is, Ben, you can make signings galore. Like I remember selling Nathan Nelton for 125 grand at Walton, and he went on to command £5 million worth of fees. Tommy Williams, the 2 lads here, Christian Jolly at Kingstonian. You can win championships, you can win, at all the clubs you've been to, you can do that. But if you don't win games on a Saturday, you'll get people who have got doubt in you. You'll get people who think, is he, what's he doing, and all the rest of it, and has he lost his bottle, has he lost his spark? You'll get all that. But the daft is, you're still the same person you are, but your doubt has come up. But you find out about people when you're having a bad time. You find out about when you're having a good time, everybody's on your side. When you're having a bad time, you find out about people, and that's what I'm doing now, to be honest.
And FA Cup this weekend, so you can take a break from the league and the magic of the cup. Potters Bar Town, do you know much about them?
Very good side. Me and Martin Taylor watched them on Tuesday night. Good side, well organised, young, well organised side. Obviously playing with a lot of confidence, being second top of their league. And obviously had a lot of changes in the summer. We went to watch them against Cheshunt on Tuesday, and I was very impressed how they played. Very impressed, and it'll be a tough game for us. But like all clubs, like all people, you want a good FA Cup run. That's a magic FA Cup,
And for you, perhaps not necessarily in management, what are some of your best memories of the FA Cup?
Oh, you put us on the spot. Yeah, I don't think I've got one, to be honest. So it's, we had a good run at Kingstonian. I've just, like all managers, want to get the first round proper, and that's the thing I probably haven't done. But we had a good run at Kears, and I remember being similar situation what's going to happen Saturday. I remember being the Raymond South side playing against Braintree, who were in the Conference Premier, and we beat them 4-0, or in the Conference South side, we beat them 4-0, and so that's the beauty of it. But I would love a good cup run like all managers, and hopefully Saturday or this season is the start of a good run, and like all managers, you want to get to the first round proper, because that's what it's all about, you know.
And what about away from management and looking at perhaps some FA Cup finals when you were growing up? Is there anything that sticks out in your memory?
I was with Malcolm Crosby of a night, who's good friends with the chairman, and I went to the FA Cup final with Sunderland against Liverpool, and you know, when I got there and all that, Malcolm was the manager, so I was picking his brains the other night in the hotel about what it was like. And I remember the semi-final at Sheffield Wednesday when we won 1-0 Sunderland. Great memories and all that, you know. Fantastic. And that's the beauty about the FA Cup. It can bring shocks, it can bring everything that you want, publicity, it can bring money, it can bring everything you want. I'll say to players, if you want to get your name on the map as a player, and we do it as a football club, the only way to do it, the best way to do it, is the FA Cup. I think everybody's got a great memory. As a young kid, you know, like, you know, I think Ipswich beat Arsenal and things like that you do, and the cup final, Coventry beating Tottenham 3-2. They're the sort of memories that will stick with me, you know.
Was that the final that you went to, was that Graham Souness managed Liverpool then, was it?
Graham Souness was manager, Malcolm Crosby was manager of Sunderland. Our chairman was the vice chairman of Sunderland. And it was great the other night, you know, because the chairman invited him to a game as well, and he come to the game, and obviously he's a great fella, really nice bloke, and we're picking his brains about the cup run, and you know, against Chelsea's, I think it was West Ham, I believe, was in there, beating Norwich in the semi-final, and obviously losing against Liverpool when Souness was a manager in the final, and obviously Malcolm leading Sunderland out at Wembley. You know, what a great achievement that was, you know.
Have your say. Get in touch on social media. Just search official BOTN.
Yeah, always a fascinating interview with Alan Dowson, Mick, and he's got a tough task this year. We said in the interview that the expectations of the fans, because they won obviously what is now the Bostik Premier Division, they went up and did so well in that league. And don't forget, he took them as well when they were now near the bottom of the Bostik League. So he's done really well with the club. But because of where they finished last year, the expectation is that they'll go on and do it again. He's lost a couple of players, a couple of really good players. It's tough in football, isn't it, when that happens? For every manager, but Dowse particularly. He's such an honest guy. I love him to bits. And, yeah, the expectation's always going to be there from how well they've done last season in the league. But there's a little bit more pressure. He's on a 3-year contract now there, so there's a little bit more added pressure on him from that perspective. Hopefully, he says he's got a good relationship with the chairman and speaks to him each day. So hopefully, he's got a decent relationship, and the guy will, Dowse will get it right. He's had his ups and bad times before, and he's always turned out good. But I think today will be a tough game for him. I've just got a feel that, Potter's Bar are going to take them to the sword, or maybe take them to a replay. There's a couple of managers we can talk about. First of all, Alan Dowson, who did say himself in the interview, he's feeling a little bit under pressure because of what they achieved last year. Obviously, Gary Elphick, since we were last doing a show, has resigned from Worthing. And we can compare that to the Premier League. When we look at the De Boer at Palace, we are so early on in this season. You look at managers. Somebody said in the week that Jaap Stam, who's at Reading, it took him a while to get it right. Change of style, get the club right, managed to make the playoffs. De Boer was given 4 games at Crystal Palace. Some of the managers now in non-league are under a little bit of pressure because they're not doing so well. Is it absurd? Of course it's absurd. I mean, that De Boer situation's ridiculous. I can only think that maybe he made his feelings known to people behind the scenes there, and that was enough for them to sort of think out him. But going back to Dowse, I remember a few seasons ago, Alan had an awful start to the season. I think he lost his first 7 or 8 games, and a lot of chairmen would have had him out. And what that guy done, he swapped a lot of players around, and he turned it around. I think they ended up maybe in the playoffs that year. So he's got it in the locker, that guy, to actually turn their fortunes around. And when you do lose a few players, you lose a bit of continuity. Sometimes you bring some players in that you think are going to better you, and it don't always turn out to be the case. So, and then you have a bit of a up and down start, which is probably what they are. But I think, they will gradually
get up that league, and they'll be all right. Maybe they won't be in the playoffs this season. Maybe they just sit below. But I'm sure Douse wants playoffs anyway. He'll probably win the league. But I love to sort of put a little bit of pressure on them, like we did when we were up there a few weeks back, about saying really you should be in the top 5 and that. And I say it's quite funny that Martin Tyler had a bit of a smirk on his face, and because they know what we're like and what the pressure is and what Douse's expectations. It's always wanting to be up there, but every manager does. So there you are.
And we look at some of the teams that are down there. Obviously, Worthing, Gary Elphick's left the club now. They've got no points from their first 7 games. Tooting and Mitcham United, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Frank Wilson did so well with them last year. You'd expect that whatever happens, he'll still be at that club. Lowestoft Town, we went up there and spoke to those guys who wanted to kick on. You mentioned about whether the supporters would be okay with the club not having the ambition. A big club, Lowestoft Town. They're in 22nd place at the moment. Is the pressure then on those guys there?
Look, I don't know what sort of relationship they got with their board and their chairman. They come across as good guys, and good guys you want to do well. And hopefully, they were also suggesting they've not got the greatest budget this year, which is quite all. Budgets are very interesting, which is something like hopefully as we go through this programming in the next few weeks that we'll find out a little bit more, an insight into what's a good budget, what's not a bad budget. I know people don't like talking about budgets at all, but hopefully we're a program that can maybe ease it out a little bit and see where we are with that.
So we're saying in the Premier Division, only 2 teams. There is completely different situations, and perhaps not that managerial pressure, and that's Billericay Town and Dorking Wanderers, because both the owners of those clubs are the managers. Yeah,
there's a few managers that will hide behind their budget and say, well, I've not got a budget, and the expectation should be this, but no one actually presses on them and if that's true or not. So hopefully as we go along and speak to these managers, and I didn't get a chance to actually pull Dom on that one, on the budget. I think he had a couple of hard questions to ask before that one.
Another interesting one very early in the season to keep an eye on is Dulwich Hamlet in 10th place at the moment, one of the strong favourites to go up. But as somebody pointed out to me yesterday when I brought the issue of De Boer up, there's a very different pressure at the Premier League level with the billions of pounds in that league, so perhaps it's uncomparable to managers in this division.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel that way when you're that manager in that division. I think you feel as much pressure as probably what the manager does at Premier, because we've all got high expectations of ourselves, and we have lots of disappointments behind the scenes, which chairmans and supporters don't ever know how many times that we might be let down by players that we've done so much for. There's so many little issues which hopefully as we go along in this coming season we will unearth these little issues that happen behind the scenes which supporters don't know about.
And that's why this level of football in non-league we love so much, and it's for me so much better than the Premier League, because Remy, 4 games for a manager anywhere in the world, 4 games and you're sacked is completely and utterly ridiculous.
I think it was also the no goals in 4 games as well. As a Palace fan, I still wouldn't agree that he should have lost his job. I'd have liked him to stay. I felt, he was getting... he didn't have the personnel to fulfil the formation he wanted to, playing 3 at the back and playing with wing backs. It didn't quite pull off, but you could see what he was trying to do. And I think if he did have a bit more time and he I don't know, scraped it to the transfer window and then brought in some more players, and with Wilfred Zaha out and Sacco not quite in the team just yet, I think he's been massively unlucky. And I think a lot of Palace fans are a bit like, oh, well, now, we'll probably scrape the barrel, we might survive. But there's no... At Palace, there's no kind of desire to want to stay in the league, whereas I could see that a little bit more with Frank de Boer coming in, trying to change the formation, because Palace have been on a decline now for the last couple of years, and they've hanged in the Premier League by the skin of their teeth, and their league form, they're currently 91st out of all 92 league teams in the top 4 divisions, and mainly that's from previous managers, nothing to do with Frank de Boer. So I think it's unlucky, but I guess Palace as a club are under pressure, and if it's not coming from the top, where does it come from? Pardew perhaps got too much time, de Boer not enough, but how long can you give a manager who's not performing?
Ben, can I just I don't think it was just those 4 results. I think there's a lot that's happened behind closed doors.
I think there was a massive falling out with Doogie Friedman as well, and he obviously has a lot of weight on the chairman of that club. But we'll see. Palace have got a massive 4 games coming up. They've got Southampton today, and then they go to City. They've got Man United, and they've got Chelsea. They're their next 4 league games. So for any goals in those games, I'm not sure. Any points in those games, I'm not sure. It could be 8 games without a win.
Good luck, Roy Hodgson. I tell you what, they best win today, because if they don't win today, if they get beaten by Southampton, then you could see Palace losing the next 4 games. Anyway, back to non-league business. We were saying it, very different pressures in non-league football, and back to stories around non-league, Mick, which you're always good for, and it comes to that moment in the show that you're going to tell us what's going on in a few other bits and pieces this week. 2
or 3 bits of interesting news. Marcus Bent, the ex-professional, was signed for Wick FC in the Southern Combination League, so that's quite interesting. You see that bit, Ben?
I didn't see that this week.
No, that was very interesting, and I think they're waiting on international clearance, so I don't know if he's actually going to be starting for Wick FC this today, but keep an eye on that. It'd be, whether he plays for them, and if he does do well, you can only imagine a few other teams want to come in for him. But anyway, that's the first bit. The other little bit, my friend Steve King got his old job back down at Whitehawk. That was quite interesting. He was telling me that there was 2 or 3 clubs, particularly one that was in the offing. He obviously didn't let on what they were, and obviously I had to wait for the Twitter news that come out 3 or 4 days ago. But I really hope that I think that's great that he goes back there. I mean, some people might say never go back to your old club. We'll wait and see on that, but I wish Steve the well, and I'm sure he's going to get a few new players in there, and hopefully he'll turn the season around for them and go up that Conference South League. Definitely can see them improving anyway. And the last bit of news, the Sudbury Town management of Jamie Godbold and Andy Reynolds departing from Sudbury Town. When I was up there in Merstham last season, lovely club. I must admit I was surprised that he did start this coming season, but good on Sudbury to give them the opportunity to start this season, and they've not sort of taken off too great, have they, in the first few games, and so I could see that being inevitable, that situation happening there.
Always good for stories across non-league. The only thing I wanted to mention today and talk about was Havant and Waterlooville. I saw a piece yesterday that Lee Bradbury was talking about the tradition of the Cup and the fact that Havant and Waterlooville 10 years ago played Liverpool up at Anfield, which was a fantastic achievement for them, and he wants to continue that on in the Cup today, and why wouldn't he? But just to take a moment to talk about the winners of last year's Premier Division, which was the Ryman Premier League, 7th at the moment in the National South, 20 points, just 2 points off the top behind Dartford. What a magnificent achievement, 11 games into that division for Lee Bradbury.
Yeah, but they're a conference club. They're a conference club but come down to the Bostik League. They were endeavoured to go back up. I get the crowds and the finances, and they've got the ground, they've got a decent manager. They had all the tools to go straight back up, which is inevitably they did. I expect them to be at the top of Conference South.
But interestingly, speaking to him at the beginning of the season, and I know what you're going to say to me, he was almost struggling a little bit, saying, I've really not got the play. We've just not been able to get the players in. But it shows, and the reason why I wanted to mention it was, if you can keep the players you've got, perhaps if you don't get all the players in that you want, you can keep that momentum going. And actually, it's a point that Mark White brought up a couple of weeks ago, continuity. Fans want to see the same players. You can't keep changing players around so much.
Yeah, but there's also this myth about whether players can step up to the next level. I would have thought that he would have kept a fair few of those players, and when they come down from the conference level, which would have kept the continuity. Look, he's at a big club. Obviously, he's been a decent player in his time as an ex-pro, and he's probably taken a little bit of the pressure off his shoulders personally. I think that they should be up there. The supporters expect them to be up there, and I'm sure the board expect them to be up at least in that top 6 or 7 of the Conference South. They're a big club, Ben.
Yeah, some big clubs in that division as well that will all be looking ahead for promotion. Right, next up we are going to do a feature that we've not done for a couple of weeks because Remy's been away, and also last week we just ran out of time because we had too much to cover on the show. And this feature is called Spit It Out. It's where Remy reads... What is that? Is that from a game, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm going to put a mouthpiece in, which is going to distort my speech, and you're going to guess what I'm saying.
Nothing rude from you, Mick Sullivan, as well. Describing this game, that I won't say what he said, but the very first show that we had this season, Mick described this game at Tooting and Mitchell United as being like something, and it just shocked all of us.
So Dara's going to be involved in the guessing this week because we're a few members down, and I've got a blood blister on my finger.
Okay, let's get on with it.
Let's
Put your
start.
mouthpiece in. So you're going to read, and are they all from non-league or are they from Premier Division?
We're not. So this kind of transcends the non-league borders. We sometimes delve into them, but we sometimes go outside of England to the Premier League, international, non-league, female. It could be anything. But this week we're going to hear from Peter Crouch, Ian Wright, and Jurgen Klopp.
Okay, should be interesting. Who are we going to start with?
Who do you want to start with?
Let's start with Peter Crouch.
Okay.
And this was Peter Crouch talking earlier on in the week.
This is what he told BBC Sport earlier in the week. Alright.
Remy's just putting a mouthpiece in. Here we go. We've got to try and guess what this is all about.
And the first one in the game, actually, the little toe, he really shot and gets around the corners and stuff. But I added, every time Ian, he decided he lives at home and has unlocked loads of cars.
It's something about living at home.
Don't ask me, I ain't got a clue.
His friend Alid, who lives at home. Something. So Peter Crouch was in the news this week. Stoke City drew with Manchester United. Did he play in that game? Is there anything to do with the game?
I can't give you any clues. You've got to tell me what he said.
Can you say it once more?
Right. Darryl, do you have any ideas?
I just got unlocked lanes, which isn't even football related. So.
Okay, so this is Peter Crouch. It must have been something to do with that Man United game.
I'm the smallest one in the game, actually, a little toad. Yeah, he shot and gets around the corner and stuff. But I added, every time Ian, he's a saddo. He hates at home and unlocked loads of arse.
See, I thought he said he's the smallest one, but he's like... I
thought he said Sado.
Yeah.
Is there some Sado?
Darryl, you got any ideas?
Again, like contrary to his actual height, I got the smallest man, he was Sado.
Is he talking about someone else that's the smallest player but can actually get up and head a ball?
No.
Okay, what was he saying earlier on?
Okay, so Stoke City striker Peter Crouch plays his teammates' tweets and reveals the true identity of the Potters Mario Kart King. So he has said, I'm the smallest one in the game actually, the little toad. Yeah, he's sharp and gets around the corners and stuff, but I'm very average. Bojan's the main man. He's a saddo who plays at home and has loads of cars and stuff. So the Stoke City boys, they play Mario Kart in their away games and as bonding, and Bojan is the man to beat.
See, I reckon we probably need a little bit more context. So I reckon next time we should have probably had...
No, you're not allowed context. That's why you've got to guess.
No, because if you just said Mario Kart, they all play Mario Kart, what did you have to say about it? I reckon we might have...
Yeah, but then you'd have guessed it, and then there's no guessing. When we told you the context before, it was too easy.
Right, next one. Who's up next?
Who do you want to hear from, Jurgen Klopp or Ian Wright?
Let's go to Jurgen Klopp and see what he has to say.
Right.
In goes the mouthpiece. Official BOTN on social media, by the way.
How a younger and how I continue on the search and it says.
Say it again?
I'm sorry, a younger and colleagues to continue on it and assess.
All right, so this must have been Jurgen Klopp after the Manchester City game, and something about going away and assessing the situation. Or it could have been to do with Sadio Mane's sending off. Maybe he had to go away and view it and assess it.
Perhaps I got in a couple of weeks. They had to assess someone.
Someone that's injured. So who? Who got injured for Liverpool? Well, it can't be Coutinho because he's already been injured. Or maybe it
you're
was.
on the right lines.
Someone's got injured for Liverpool. I can't think who's got injured for Liverpool. So it was an injury that he's going to have to go away and assess.
Yeah, so Liverpool expect to be without defender Nathaniel Clyne for several months as he recovers from a back injury. The 26-year-old played just 45 minutes in a pre-season at a 4-0 win at Tranmere Rovers on the 12th of July. So he has said, I'm told it will be longer than a couple of weeks, so we'll continue to monitor and assess.
We were close with that one.
Along the right lines.
Okay, last one. Ian Wright.
Finally, Ian Wright.
Any thing that has trying to do with the hay that I got in the show because I don't want to get it away and say to the hands.
Could you repeat that, please?
And you're not thinking that how trying to do it, I just and they don't give it away, and that goes into hands.
Is he talking about a goalkeeper?
No.
Oh.
I heard something about hands.
I thought he said
definitely
De
at the
Gea,
end.
so that's why I was thinking that he was talking about goalkeepers that use their hands, but De Gea's good with his feet. Am I way off?
Way off.
Okay. What? Any ideas, Mick?
Not a clue.
Okay.
Not a clue.
Tell us what Ian Wright had to say.
Okay, so former Palace and England striker Ian Wright told BBC 5 Live his thoughts on the Eagles after they looked petrified as they struggled to adapt a new possession-based 3-5-2 system, and said, when you watch a team like Palace trying to do it, the players just go into their shell because they don't want to give the ball away, and that spreads to the fans.
Okay, well that's why we heard hands, but we were absolutely useless at that game. But Remy, thank you so much. That was split it out. We'll do that again next week. Okay, moving on. We're going to speak to Jamie Howe now, the Eastbourne Borough manager, and we caught up with him yesterday as he told us his thoughts on the game against Carshalton Athletic in the FA Cup today. Jamie, you must be looking forward to the FA Cup on Saturday, and although you're strong favourites for the game, I'm sure you won't be taking anything for granted.
No, definitely. I don't think. Strong favourites is I definitely don't feel that's the case. I think sometimes if you look at it just on paper, it's they're a division or two below, and you think, that's an easy game. But I think Carshalton over the last 2 years, I've got a good reputation for playing very good, attractive football, and obviously doing very well in the league this year. And I expect it to be a really, really tough game for us.
And you've been on decent form apart from the last game. You've had 3 wins, 2 draws, and just 1 defeat in the last 6. So you obviously go into the game with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're a relatively a new team with new players coming in, so we're learning a lot about each other in a quite a short space of time. So I've been pleased, especially last sort of 6 to 8 games. We've played well and looked a little bit more like the team that I want us to become. So I'm pleased with that, and I do feel we're playing quite well. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good game of football.
And how important is the FA Cup this year to you? Because obviously there's an expectation in the league. We spoke at the beginning of the season. It's a big club, and you'd be looking up towards the playoffs. So how important is the FA Cup?
I think very important. I think everyone knows how important the FA Cup is. Purely because a lot, just the financial, improvements that it can make to your club. That money coming in for FA Cup by winning games of football, is a lot for non-league clubs. So everyone understands the importance of it, and everyone's dreaming of a cup run to obviously get the fans through the gate and creating a bit of history and things like that. So I think it is very important, but it's we want to win every game, and to be honest with you, so we are looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, we want to do well in the league as well.
I spoke to a manager during the last round that went out of the FA Cup, and he said that afterwards, he said to the players, "You've let the club down. You've let the people that work so hard behind the scenes, because this was an opportunity to raise the profile. It's an opportunity to earn some money to pay their wages." Is that something that you bring into it, or is it purely down to their own pride and wanting to win a game? It doesn't matter about off the pitch things for the players.
I can't speak for his team, but most of the lads that I've always managed, to be honest with you, are always no one's going to deliberately try and lose a game. They understand the importance of it. They understand what it means, I think, to supporters and things like that. So I hope, especially the lads at Eastbourne, know it's important, but they would treat this game as if it was a league game. We want to do well in every game. So yes, there is a little bit of added excitement being the FA Cup, but I'll be very disappointed if you had to get people up for every game. But no, I think if they lose, which is conceivable, as long as it's not through lack of effort, then I don't think people mind.
I want to mention the name James Fraser to you. Obviously been released by Worthing, and you had him last year. Would you be, if that's somebody that you might be looking at to bring in to strengthen your squad?
I think if I'm honest about it, I think he's a good player. Did very well for us last year, but if I'm honest about it, I think we've got quite a settled squad at the present moment, and it is difficult, and maybe I need to let a few people go before I need to bring someone in. So we're always on the lookout for good players, but we'd have to look at things and see where we are. But I haven't given it too much thought at the moment. I've only just seen the team that come out this morning.
And finally, again, I spoke to you at the beginning of the season, and you said it was difficult to set yourself target because you were so new into the club. There was a lot of changes. Having now got into the season, have you set yourself a target for where you want to finish in the league?
Yeah, just don't get relegated. That's about as much as it is at the moment. I think it's such a strong league. if you know what I mean. And it is a big step up, I think, from the Premier, in respect that I think that all the games, we played Concord, who I think struggling a little bit at the present moment, but it was a really tough game, and we won it, and then won another game, and suddenly we've gone into the sort of top half of it, and they've stayed in the bottom, and it can fluctuate so easily like that. So I think the trouble is, as long as I'm seeing progress and seeing the team develop, then I'm pleased. And as I said, I think we're taking little steps going forward. But we played Dartford the other day, and I think they were like the benchmark of what we really need to look at. And they were, they were very, very good in both boxes, and you can see why they are where they are in the league. So yeah, I'm very pleased with where we are at the moment, but understanding that we need a lot of work to do.
For the best highlights from across the Bostik Leagues, visit youtube.com/Back of the Net.
Yeah, another one that Jamie Howe's obviously come up with Bognor, but he's now at Eastbourne Borough, and they are a side that you'd expect to be up there too. So there's a little bit of pressure on him now.
Yeah, of course there is, but that's a big step he took there to sort of leave Bognor. He took them up, and then to walk away, and go to another club, takes a lot of bottle to do that, and good on Jamie to actually take that jump. But I think maybe he needed a break from that club. He'd been there a long while. We all need to feel that we probably sort of just, sometimes you feel you've taken the club as far as they can go. That's probably not the case with Bognor, but maybe it is. I don't know whether Jack sort of held the sort of reins a bit too much there on the finances, and maybe that restrained the management. I don't know, but obviously he talked to Eastbourne Borough, and they'd obviously, I think, given him the tools to do the job, and it looks like they're going to have a half reasonable season. I must admit, Jamie sort of looks like he's had the media training. He's talked everything down again. If Jamie's listening, we get him a chance to get him on here, the pressure's going to be on. These managers are getting away with too much at the minute. No one's putting them under pressure.
And we did mention James Fraser, who's left Worthing this week, and I put that to Jamie, and they're obviously good friends because he's played at Bognor with him, and one of the main things that Don mentioned was when he was on earlier off air that he perhaps gets the best out of him. He's James Fraser. Could you see him going to Eastbourne Borough?
Well, I think whether he didn't want to cherry pick too many Bognor players to go with him at Eastbourne, but if you want a player, you'll take him, and obviously he feels that maybe he had an equivalent player or someone else in mind at Eastbourne Borough. It happens, I could have taken both my centre-backs. Craig Vernon was my captain and was a big part of the Merstham set-up, and when I went to Leatherhead, I only took Chris Bolter. So, we don't always cherry-pick everyone from a club where we move on, because there's normally half-decent players there, and you've got to be mindful, what's the point in sort of upsetting so many people? So, but, I was talking that he'd be a great candidate to go to Horsham, let's say. I don't know if Dom had a bit of a wry smile on his face, whether he's already approached him, but I suspect he'd be one of many managers that have been on the phone.
And they've got a fascinating cup tie that we talked about a little bit earlier on against Carshalton Athletic, and our last interview today is with Peter Adinyaye, and I spoke to him yesterday. So Peter, Carshalton undefeated in the league, 4 wins and a draw, and you played one less game due to that game being postponed on Monday night. You must be very happy.
We are. At the start of any season, you have to get off to a good start just to get some momentum going, and we've managed to do that. So we're all pleased with the start that we've had.
And as always, it's going to be a competitive division. There's more teams get promoted this year, but there's some really good teams in that league.
There is. I've been to watch a few games so far this season, and it is going to be a tough league for anyone to win or for anyone to actually get promoted out of. So expecting a long, hard campaign from everyone, really. There's a couple of teams up there already. Wharton Casuals are showing good signs. Watched them a couple of weeks ago, and they look quite strong and very mobile. And also Thamesmead and Phoenix look like there could be surprise packages, along as the usual suspects of Hastings, Greenwich and Lewis, Cray Wanderers. So yeah, there should be 8 or 9 teams up there battling to hopefully get promoted, and we're just hoping we could be one of those teams as well.
How does a manager's mind work? This early on in the season at 5 o'clock, do you still look at the results and want to know how those teams are done, or is it far too early for that?
Personally, I do. I do. Come 5 o'clock, I do check on all the other teams to see how they're done. But obviously, our main concern is to make sure we pick up 3 points or pick up the results first and foremost. And then you want to check how well or badly opened are 1 or 2 teams in and around you have dropped points. You just want to try and hopefully get a bit of a gap or stay with the pack at this stage of the season, really.
FA Cup weekend this weekend brings a different challenge, and you're away at Eastbourne Borough. That's going to be a tough game.
It is, but those are sort of games you want to play in or be part of. You want to test yourself against better opposition, or what should be better opposition. I mean, they're 2 levels above us. We watched them on Tuesday against Dartford, and they look very strong and physical and mobile. So I'm expecting a good game of football, really. Their manager likes to play football. We like to play football. So in theory, it should be a good game to watch.
Eastbourne Borough are 10th in the National League South. That's 41 places above you. They're in good form at the moment as well. They've only lost 1 of their last 4 with 2 wins and a draw as well. Does that help you that you're underdogs on Saturday?
I'm sure they won't take us lightly. Their manager's an experienced guy. He's been around non-league for a long time. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be telling these players, don't take them lightly. We're going to go down there. We're just going to give it our best go. Take it like any other game of football. That's what the FA Cup's about, really. An opportunity for a mini giant kill, I guess.
And speaking of giant kills, what's your best memory? Not necessarily as a manager, but just maybe as a kid growing up of the FA Cup. Some of the best games that you've seen.
Oh, I'm a Liverpool fan, so there's quite a few Liverpool games that kind of sticks out. I believe the one against West Ham is one that pops in my mind when we were behind and Steven Gerrard scored. Well, I think it was a 35-yard screamer. That one still in my mind as one of my favourite FA Cup memories. Personally, played for Bromley against Gillingham at Gillingham. That was a good day out. And we had a good FA Cup run that season. So that year sticks out in my mind also. But the FA Cup is a special cup, really, isn't it? Starting at a great run last year, Horsham, and it's the dream of all non-league teams to have a decent run, and we're no different.
Apart from Carshalton Athletic, who do you think is going to win the FA Cup this year?
Well, like I said, I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm hoping they'll win the league and the FA Cup and the Champions League. But, it will normally be a Premiership team as per usual, possibly one of the top 6. Hopefully it's not Chelsea or Arsenal or Man City or Man U.
Back of the net, where it matters.
You know quite a bit about Carshalton Athletic and Peter, we were talking about it earlier. We talked about their cup game and how he'd fancy that. But going back to the league, Dom mentioned it and Adam mentioned it. They were the best team, they said, that they played last year. They should be, the favourites in this division this season?
Shall I put the pressure on Peter with that one? Well, yes, they should be up in the top 5, definitely. I don't want to put too much pressure on such a young manager, Peter, but obviously I've got a lot of time for him. Lovely guy. I think he's at that age group that he's been there and done it at non-league level, and I think the players hugely respect him, and I think that helps him that he's been there and done it as a player at non-league level. Not all of us managers were prolific players in our day, let's say. Having said that, one thing I didn't mention, that I did play for Horsham, be it in the reserves for quite a bit down here, so I've got a connection with Horsham today, by the way, so hopefully Horsham will get a win. But going back to Peter, he'll play the passing style, but I think he has got a B plan. He won't be frightened to hit a long pass when it needs to, and I think that's what, because they've got a lot of pace in that team, a lot of quality. They've got I was just trying about Anton has now joined them, Anton Douglas, which is a great player. Some of those players I've got down there have been there and done it as well. So yeah, pressure on him. I fancy he's going to give Jamie a good game, Eastbourne Borough, this afternoon, and Jamie recognises that. So I forget what my prediction was. Can you remember what my prediction was on that?
Is this for the Carshalton game?
Yes.
I think you went 3-1.
3-1 to Eastbourne Borough. Sorry, Pete.
Last minute of the show. Today's game, Horsham against Herne Bay. Don't forget full live commentary from 3 o'clock. And of course, it's the Bostik League show, highlights tomorrow from 10. And it's going to be a tight one. I mean, you look at the league positions, obviously Horsham 16th, Herne Bay, in 10th position. Last season, very similar, these two teams. And Goals scored, very similar again. We've got a total of 8 for Horsham, 10 for Herne Bay, and the top scorers have both got sort of 4 or 5 for both teams. So it's interesting.
It is, but I do think the FA Cup levels it out a little bit from league form and that. But a huge respect to the guys that come in for Herne Bay. They've turned it around. I weren't so sure whether they would. New guys, not so sure what experience they've had at this level of non-league. But they've blooded a few youngsters, and they've got a style of play that's obviously scoring them goals and getting them points on the board. So congratulations to them. And obviously, I'm going to wish Dom really well because we're good pals. And obviously, I've got a connection with Horsham. So,
last 5 seconds you've got. Who's going to win?
I've got to go Horsham.
Okay, that's it. Brilliant. Great way to end the show. Thanks to Mick Sullivan, Dara. Big thank you to producer Remy and Carly, who's not been in shot, but she's over in the corner working hard. Thanks for listening to the show. Don't forget full live commentary this afternoon between Horsham and Herne Bay in the FA Cup second round qualifying. And this is the Bostik League show tomorrow.
For the best highlights from across the Bostik Leagues, visit youtube.com/back of the net.